So the Trojan horse, the center-steer white supremacist mulatto Barack Hussein Obama did an interview with the Breakfast Club recently. And Charlamagne the God asked him flat out a very important question. What did you do for the black community? Like specifically, not lift all programs. And he couldn't name a damn thing because the thing is, he actually wrote, not he wrote, but he passed specific benefits to gays, to Latinos, like the DACA, things like that. He didn't do a damn thing for blacks. He actively worked against blacks. Now you can come up with these fraudulent numbers, but 90% of what Obama did was rhetoric and lies. For example, with him drawing down nuclear weapons. All he did was group the nuclear weapons and then count the groups to make it look like there's less nukes. Then he got a Nobel Peace Prize for that. It's a piece of crap. He gutted the black community economically. He didn't do a damn thing for blacks. He did not help blacks. He massacred blacks all over. Well, here's the deal. Long before the bubble burst, blacks had been shut out economically. From the Homestead Act of 1862 to the FHA during the New Deal. White supremacists have always tried to keep blacks out economically, or at least keep them under control in America. And they've done this under the threat of riots and race wars, racial covenants, all kinds of underhanded stuff, block busting, you name it. And when it came to the violence and the threats of violence, they've acted upon it numerous times, as we've seen over the years via the race wars that they classified as riots. But I ain't never heard of no goddamn riot where you're dropping bombs from military planes, or you're coming out with the National Guard and spraying up half a town. But lo and behold, that's a riot in America. Anyway, this is the climate that they've come from. And when it came to the damn crisis, we also know that many middle-class blacks who were more than qualified for regular home loans were tricked by banks into taking subprime mortgages. The white supremacist lenders called these ghetto loans. The same went for Latinos. They called both groups mud people and insured them as placeholders for white developers looking to revitalize areas once these people were kicked out, as we saw in Williamsburg in the Central District. Obama's HUD program was a waste of resources. Suburban areas have enough wealth to churn out internal economic turnover and shun government dollars. So it didn't really help blacks to try to shoehorn them into their areas. Furthermore, Obama set aside a meager $75 billion for homeowners affected by the housing crisis and the recession. And out of that, only $16 billion was spent helping people, the majority of whom were affected were black. This program was called the, what the hell was it? Home Affordable Mortgage Program. And it didn't do shit but cause black home ownership to decline, which was by design. Because, see, the government paid private mortgage servicers to conduct modifications on these subprime loans. These institutions had an incentive to keep people paying a high principal, which bled them financially, since the servicers essentially got a commission on the outstanding debt. Servicers also had an even greater incentive to foreclose, because they got a commission from the foreclosure sale before the actual owner did. Take a good guess who this hurt from 2012 on. And just like with the counterproductive, feckless police brutality inquiries that the DOJ provided with no oversight, This allowed servicers to trick indebted homeowners into foreclosure so that they could get commission on their home. And this was after they squeezed out payments from these broke-ass homeowners. The same scummy tactics they've employed since Jim Crow, all made possible by Obama, the Trojan horse. See, the thing is, we know this because Neil Borowski testified the real purpose of the program was to protect the banks. Yeah, that's right. Obama screwed millions of black homeowners for the banks. Black home ownership was on a downslide the entire Obama administration. There's a slight uptick near the end of his term, but when you look closer, you realize that much of those were people with negative equity caused by municipal devaluation of homes just because someone non-white is there. On top of the predatory lending products pushed on the blacks, which by the end of his administration rose from less than 1 to over 14%. I ain't lying about none of this shit, Jack and Dandies. There were literally no political obstacles to stop Obama from helping these people. Yet he magically didn't. But he certainly pushed through that bullshit ACA crap, which was basically a gift bag to insurance companies like Westinghouse and pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer, which set the stage for what's going on now, but I can't talk about that. You know, can't go there anyway. I'm going to leave that alone. And then you got these government cucks that talk about these Pell Grants. First off, oh my God. The American Recovery and Reinvestment Act was drafted before this guy got in office. It was written up before he got in office. That's the first thing. Number two, it was a goddamn slush fund. And much of the money was spent on pet projects by state leaders. The so-called shovel-ready transportation jobs weren't that numerous. Furthermore, the contracts went to all types of people. It wasn't some boon for blacks. There were a lot of Latinos hired as construction workers, a lot of East Indian contractors got big, heavy contracts. A lot of Middle Easterners got heavy contracts. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And neither do you. Secondly, when it came to the Pell Grants themselves, Latinos use and benefit from them almost as much as blacks. I think 51% of them do, somewhere around there. And it's not like it's a new thing. I mean, hell, I was getting Pell Grants when I was in college under Bill Clinton. So the Reinvestment Act put an extra couple $1,000s per student, I think, per semester. I think it's $4,000, something along those lines. I think it boosted it from $4,000 to about $5,000, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to look into that. Anyway, yeah, it didn't really help that much. The difference between it was that college back then was still affordable, but essentially the money became a hat trick because 9 out of 10 Pell Grant recipients owe more than students who don't use them. They owe more in student loans than students who don't use Pell Grants. And this wasn't the case before 2011 because the state can't make up for the tuition costs rising, so Pell Grants bear the most for poor students. And so they make that up by getting a loan. And they weren't really, and I don't know how it is now, but at that time they weren't doing like partials, so you still ate this fat ass loan on top of your Pell Grant because you wouldn't be able to pay for school either way. Thus, you end up paying more on the back end. So yeah, I don't really know how this Pell Grant shit helped blacks that much. In terms of the other shit, Obama over-policed blacks and Hispanics. And as we know, over-policing doesn't work. The mechanisms were kept in place by the white supremacist Jeff Sessions because a lot of stuff that he passed was via executive order, even when the House and the Senate were majority Democrat. He didn't make that big of a difference. He freed like 1,600 guys. Crime already was on the downslope. Even during the recession, before, during, and after the recession, crime was on the downslide. It's not until this shit that crime shot through the damn roof. So I mean, he really didn't help black inmates in any considerable form. He increased prison labor and used that on his roles when it came to unemployment, just like Donald Trump did, because he's a piece of crap. The few blacks he freed was 1,600 out of 400K. He also didn't eliminate the use of private prisons. That's a lie. What he did was instead of using them for domestic inmates, he gave the private prison owners a $1 billion stipend to house illegals. And like I said before, I've talked ad nauseum about how he funded and armed cops to come in and harm blacks, as well as fraudulent tactics via asset forfeiture to take property, including homes, away from blacks, and enabling cop brutality and murder by taking away oversight and accountability via a wish list of police union benefits with those burn rights, those burn laws, and those cop grants that allow them to kill blacks in a high definition and walk without their pensions touched or anyone seeing prison time other than Mike Slager, which took a huge grassroots effort, and him being caught on camera shooting a man in the back and then planting a taser on his dead body. And no, it wasn't because of the interest via Gay Lives Matter posing on the backs of Black Lives Matter either. Now, when we talk domestic or internationally when it comes to Obama, he really screwed blacks. We know Obama ramped up the covert wars in 52 African nations, the coup in Libya being the most well-known, where the white supremacist oligarchs were pissed Gaddafi helped overthrow America's brutal dictator in Egypt, Mubarak, who's also clicked in with the totalitarian fundamentalist dictatorship. And we all know I can't talk about those guys anymore. That's a big no-no. Anyway, the coup undermined the fundamentalist dictatorship as well as the apartheid ethno-state and enabled Gaddafi to finally start shipping oil to Asia, along with the situation with the pipeline. That hurt Italy, that hurt France, and it pissed off a lot of people over there who wanted to get rid of his ass, and they felt that was the time to drop the hammer. Especially with him trying to move away from the dollar and trade oil and dinar. I mean, I keep telling you, the United States government is your goddamn enemy. And all of that set the stage. That set the stage for the coup in Libya, where he helped foreign terrorists rounded up by Gaddafi at the behest of the United States government, by the way, to destroy the country along with Qatar and NATO, as well as enslave native black Libyans, the Tuareg, and migrant workers. Then in Uganda, Obama had Operation Lightning and Thunder with Museveni that killed and displaced thousands of northern Ugandans. He also helped Karinga, well actually Karinga worked for America, but anyway, helped Karinga and M23 massacre blacks in the Congo while keeping the government from enforcing child labor laws that would hurt corporations' bottom line. So in the end, yes, Obama did a lot for blacks. He created state-sanctioned executions of blacks in America. He massacred and enslaved blacks in Africa. He destroyed black home ownership and wealth for banks, and mocked blacks in Flint during the water crisis because he's a goddamn piece of trash like the rest of the government. Why you're still loyal to these people is beyond me.